For all the latest community news and events.
103.2 Preston FM.
Your community, your radio.
So, Dean, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Hughie. Lovely to be back.
Lovely to see you again. And for those who don't know, you're a local poet and often performing, in fact, all over the country, but often around the Preston and district area.
Yeah, around the northwest mainly. I do travel further afield sometimes, but it's mainly around the northwest, yeah, performance poet.
And I was talking to somebody the other day, as I do when I'm not on the air. I was in a pub, would you believe? And I was talking to somebody who listens to the show, and he was saying that what is really nice about us having you on the programme,
Yeah.
Dean, is that we don't talk about poetry. And I thought, well, what does he mean? And he said to me, we don't talk about poetry. He said, I did poetry at school, but we don't talk about it. And in fact, that's true in a way, isn't it, that we don't talk in general or generally about poetry?
No, this is true. Talk about events, we talk about all sorts of things. But
music,
yeah,
drama.
Indeed. But poetry, yeah, that gentleman absolutely hit it spot on. People can't see poetry as being something that they saw at school, something they experienced at school. And with the greatest respects to schools, it put an awful lot of people off. And what I'm seeking to do, and my poetic colleagues, is get out there and show people that it's accessible. It isn't something sort of dusty from the ancient past. It's out there and it's happening now, and come along, you'll actually enjoy it. That's
right. And I mean, you often write poetry that will be associated maybe with the event or with the occasion. So you...
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I wrote my Preston FM poem. How'd you ask me to? And I did something similar on another radio station a couple of weeks ago. I actually wrote it on air.
There's another radio station?
Apparently there is.
Dear me, I didn't know that.
Shocking, I know.
So you did a poem for them, did you, Dean?
I did it on air, yeah.
But I mean, that is quite a talent. I mean, you actually did it spontaneously. You didn't know that was going to happen.
Didn't know it was going to happen. I was given a pen and paper and said,
wow.
Yes, okay, I'll give it a go.
So how difficult was that?
I don't know if this is good or bad, but I find it very easy. So I did something for them, just a little 4-line thing. Hopefully it raised a few laughs around the place. Right.
And do you think there's any kind of similarity or kind of cross thread? I don't know if you heard the interview I was just doing with Christina Crook, and Christina's just published her.
I saw the tail. I heard the tail end of it.
Yeah. I mean, is there a comparison, you think, with somebody who maybe writes a book, the author? Because again, it's very much imagination, isn't it? It's thought, yeah. It's atmosphere, it's whatever. So is there a similarity?
There is definitely. A lot of my poems are telling a story anyway. When I'm on Preston FM, I tend to do my shorter ones, but I have some very long poems which weave a whole story, and I take people on a journey with them. So in a sense, yeah, it's like a little short story that happens to rhyme.
Right. Well, maybe on the next visit or whenever we need to find time for a longer poem.
Yes.
with the journey. And any events coming up at the moment?
I'm also involved in events, and tomorrow I'm doing a big charity thing over in St Anne's on the Park at the Pavilion to raise funds for the flood victims over in Bosnia, Serbia and Croatia. Terrible things been happening over there. Over 1 million people displaced. Tens of thousands of people have lost absolutely everything. They've just got the clothes on the back. So I've been sort of following what's been going on and thought, no, we need to do something. So we have people placed out there who will make sure that whatever we raise gets to the people who need it. So this is the Pavilion at St Anne's, starts at 8 o'clock tomorrow and carries on until we're finished.
Right. Am I right in thinking the Pavilion is the new one in Ashton Park?
In the park, that's right.
It's Ashton Park,
that's
isn't
right.
it? Right, in more or less the centre. Yep. If anybody doesn't know St Anne's, if you're on the shopping street, you can't miss the park, and there's a new pavilion there.
That's right.
So there are people actually out working in the field with
Yes.
victims at the moment?
Yes, there are. And we'll make sure that every single penny raised goes directly to these people. There are fundamental things in need. There's no water. So they'll make sure people get water. Nappies for babies. Whole families have lost absolutely everything, because what happened is there's been the floods. The floods have now subsided a little, but now there's been earthquakes. So the foundations of houses have been loosened, and of course they've fallen down. Terrible, terrible situation. There hasn't been that much media coverage over here.
I was just going to say that. It's interesting how some things hit the media and goes out
Others
for
don't.
public appeals, and others don't hit the media.
It's you look at a map and you see where the floods are, and it looks like there's an inland sea. 60 kilometres of floods.
So something like the tsunami that hit the
Yeah.
coast of Indonesia and other
Yeah.
countries over recent years.
It's pretty horrendous, and this is why I decided, okay, we'll put this event on to raise funds for it. And people have really risen to the occasion. Some brilliant bands coming along to play. Mel Stacey, Mr. Entertainment over in St Anne's has got involved as
right.
well. And yeah, everybody's really got behind this, so please come along. The event is free to see. Please give a donation, whatever you can afford.
And it starts again, the time?
8 o'clock tomorrow.
8 o'clock
8
tomorrow.
PM, yes.
8 p.m. tomorrow
Yeah.
evening. So hopefully, particularly also if it's a lovely evening. I mean, the venue, it's a lovely park. I like Ashton
It is.
Park.
It's a beautiful place, and thanks to Phil for letting us come and use his venue.
Brilliant. Well, I don't know if you do have a poem for us this day, or if I should do, and I'm actually quite surprised there's another radio station, or if I do the same thing and say, well, here's a piece of paper and a pen, Dean.
Not today, Hughie, but I will do one for you.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to do this one, actually. It's about my great-grandfather, with it being the centenary of the First World War. So it's not a long one. It's called Boots 2. He slept with his boots on, although true sleep is alien to him now. A cacophony of sound disturbs his slumber, fear being his daily reality. He had volunteered, the Chorley pals they called them, his friends right there with him, wanting to do their bit. He had been in the hell to which they'd sent him for only 2 weeks, and yet he had already outlived all his pals. A veteran at just 19 years old. Oh yes, he slept with his boots on, and he would die the same way.
Oh dear, thanks. Wow, Dean, thank you for that. And again, just a reminder that tomorrow it's the Pavilion in Ashton Park, 8 p.m, and all proceeds will be going to
help the flood victims in the Balkans, Croatia, Serbia and Bosnia.
And the people taking part alongside yourself?
Well, too many to list. You.
Yeah, the names that you mentioned.
There's Bingo Bayer coming to play, Preston band. We've got guys coming over from Blackpool. Tom Metcalf's playing. I might do a bit of poetry myself.
Oh, right, good.
Abdul DeWood's coming over from Southport, a rap man. He'll be doing things. So there are literally many, many people who want to come and support this event.
A nice evening and a nice way to raise money.
That's
and
right.
I've certainly met Tom Metcalf and interviewed Tom, a
Yeah.
really good singer, so it should be a lovely evening.
Hugely talented man, yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Dean, I look forward to our next encounter in the studio.
Yeah, as do I.
Be nice to see you again quite soon. And back to the piece of music I was talking about. It was number one this day in May 1980 and was first screened on BBC Two in this country. Initially, it received quite a lot of complaints, and in fact, in America, the American government did try to pull the show. So, any idea that I'm talking about? What would you think I'm talking about? Dean, any idea?
Well, the first thing that came to mind was MASH.
Do you think he could be right, dear listener?
Made by people like you.
Your community, your radio.
Your Preston FM.